All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Gonna be touching on the top prop bets today on both PrizePicks and Underdog. Gonna start out with some NFL props that are sticking out. I'll be breaking down the NBA slate, showing you guys a couple of college basketball props as well. It's a fun day. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so just right at the bat, let's just talk about some of the props that are popping up on the NFL board. Will Levis under fantasy score at 14 seems to be a good one. We can see Underdog has the line set at 13. The average sportsbook line would have it set at 11. I think that's correct. Will Levis, I think, will struggle in this game. He's not getting enough time, and I don't think the run game is going to be able to get established on the ground. Thus, Will Levis, I think, will struggle. He looked really good in the first game because they were able to get the run game going. The next two games, they haven't been able to do that, so it makes sense. I'm fine betting the under there. Ain't O'Connell rush yards, I'm not touching. George Pickens over 7 fantasy score does kind of suck because it is a difficult matchup. At the same time, it does make sense to me. Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm a little bit worried about. We could see someone like David Montgomery get a little bit more work in this game. And I actually think David Montgomery will be the RB1. A little bit thin there, but all in all, not terrible. We're going to see Jahmyr Gibbs for under 12 for a Jahmyr Gibbs, yeah, over 12.5. If you guys want to roll with that, you could. Again, feels a little bit too thin. Trey Palmer, this is interesting. I already bet this one. I'm okay with this. 21.5 for receiving yards. Everything else is telling us that this number is too low. The Underdog line, the average Vegas line, the projection data as well. So I'm fine with that. From there, Aaron O'Connell under fantasy score, I'm fine with. Jalen Hurts under fantasy score. I don't know if I want to touch that. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Romeo Doubs over fantasy score, I'm okay with. Jerome Ford over fantasy score, I like. Chuba Hubbard rush attempts, I'm not touching. Jalen Waddle fantasy score, I'm kind of okay with. And so we kind of get it. What I want to show you guys is kind of the bets that I guess are the easiest to predict, I would say. Tackles and assists and receptions. And then for what it's worth, I should mention, I do think Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns is still a great one. I don't know why that one's there. We are getting a lot of crazy under bets. Now I want to start with Jaylen Warren one. This one is being valued as a push, okay? When it's this low of a number and it's like a source of, like, it's hard to explain, like one, I guess, like receptions. It's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. You know, it's not like a receiving yards prop where it could be 21 receiving yards, 22 receiving yards, 23. In a situation like this is very much being valued as a push at 3. So we move on from there. We got Tyler Lockett under 4.5 receptions, a seemingly good one. We got David Njoku under 3.5 receptions, a seemingly good one. We got Stephon Diggs under 6.5 receptions. Those are all good ones. I'm okay with that. Michael Mayer under 2.5 receptions. I'm okay with that. Then we're getting a lot of good tackles and assist props. Now, last week, we saw a little bit of a balancing out act with the tackles and assist props where, you know, over the past 2 weeks prior to that, they had been hitting at a higher expected rate. And so it does make sense why those came down last week. I'm perfectly fine betting those again, though. Amari Cooper under receptions. Don't love that his projection data does have the over there. And I think he's going to be fine. I think DTR is going to be fine. But I just want to call these ones out directly. If you guys see any that you like there, by all means, go for it. And then looking at college basketball, just real quick, we have a few decent ones. We can see under 13.5 for Arthur there. That's okay. I'm hoping that we get better ones throughout the day. We'll see. Obviously, can't really dictate when those come out. So again, with the NHL props here, I just want to call that these are all being valued as pushes. That is what these ratings are representing. So again, first thing I do when I get into the NHL tool is I adjust for the prop line difference not being that great. This is PrizePicks Sports. Okay, that's the difference. And so we can see one here. I don't like touching these guys. I like with hockey, a lot of the props that we'll get it where we can get at 0.5. So to me, I like this one better with Jenner for over 2.5 shots on goal, a 54% chance to hit. Like, I like that better because it's either going to hit or it's going to miss. Okay, and I'm perfectly happy with that. So, you know, we got a lot of great EV bets. But let's go ahead and get into NBA now. And so right at the bat, we are, you know, not really getting as many EV bets NBA wise. Okay, so like really, I guess I'll show you guys a couple of bets you can make NFL wise, and then I'll begin into NBA. So yeah, here's just one small slip you can make. We saw these two were, you know, pretty good for receptions. Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This is one that kind of makes sense as well. The matchup with Carolina, like they're bad defense, but they can stop you. Like, I think Brandon Aubrey getting 2 field goals is not crazy. I like that one. This is me just trying to measure the tackles and assist props. Like, that is just something I do. Like, this is still a new data point. And so that's why I don't like to like directly give these out too much. So with cause, proceed with caution with this, but I think these are fine. We saw very good odds on these. And this is me just wanting to, like, I know which sports books are giving these props. I just want to be able to tell how accurate they are on that, if they are hitting at their expected rates or not. Here's another one with just receptions. And I don't love that. It's like less than for all these. That sucks. You could also toss in the hockey prop in here. Like, I'm fine with that. And then lastly, here are the fantasy score props that I like for this week. These are all ranking out as a 54% edge, which I'm perfectly happy with. Last week, we saw a lot of good stack second opportunities. There was only one that really kind of came through for us. That was Dak Prescott over fantasy score, Jake Ferguson over fantasy score, CeeDee Lamb over fantasy score, and then Tony Pollard under fantasy score. We're not really getting too many of those this week where the data was like correlating well with the stacks. So all in all, I'm perfectly fine just doing these one-off fantasy score props. Now I'm going to switch up and get into NBA. And just as an FYI, guys, I did already do like a deep dive NFL video. So that's why I was just kind of recapping it or just touching on more props that we got available. Looking at the NBA slate, we do have a 9-game slate. Okay, we have like 3 early games. It's actually kind of a crazy day. It's all kind of spread out. So kind of fun there. We'll go ahead and start out with the Sixers versus the Brooklyn Nets. And for what it's worth, I didn't do a bet of the day recap because I didn't give out a bet of the day because it took until like literally up until lineup block until they gave us some fantasy score props. And really, we just didn't have that many good bets. Now I gave out a sportsbook based slip where you're just betting them individually. That ended up going 50%, like a slight profit given the fact that a few of the prop bets that hit were under favored. Now the best prop bet that we had available on the board fantasy score wise was Jalen Williams, who ended up crushing his over fantasy score. So nice to see that hit again. Looking at this game, we got the Sixers with Kelly Oubre out. Just Kelly Oubre out. Batum, I guess, is expected back. We look at here, Dennis Smith Jr. being a game time decision is some important news that we need to get. If he sits, then that's going to open up even more minutes for the guards. He's been playing about 20 minutes or so. And so, yes, if he does sits, we can see that's about 20 minutes, and that's a decent amount of shot attempts that are going to be available. Now, I would think that that would go to Spencer Dinwiddie. He has been so hit or miss, though. I don't know if we can trust him. Mikal Bridges is someone that has been a little bit more consistent as of recently, which is good. He hasn't been as good as anyone else would think, though, so a little bit worrisome. And then Cam Johnson as well. He is someone that is playing about 30 minutes or so. He's someone I think would step up into a bigger role. Nick Claxton actually had himself a pretty good game against Miami, so maybe he has a good game against Joel Embiid. We'll take a peek at the props that we are getting there for the Brooklyn Nets, and we can see, yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie under 14.5 points. So if we get news that all 3 of those players are out, I might caution against Spencer Dinwiddie then, where he averages about 20 real life points per 36 with those players off the court. And I think he would be someone that should get a lot of run. We look at his projected minutes at 34, so like a pretty good reading of his point. And for what it's worth, Spencer Dinwiddie's per 36 points with Dennis Smith on the court, is at 18.8. And so again, like we know that Dinwiddie is very much hit or miss. To me, let's just bet on Dennis Smith probably sitting, and then maybe Dinwiddie is a lot more appealing. Like I think this is a better over bet than it would be an under bet. A better over bet on one of the sports books where the payout's gonna be better for you. From there, DFS for under 10.5 points and assists, seemingly a decent one. We can see Cam Johnson, a slight edge that we are getting there. But all in all, the bets that we're getting for Brooklyn, probably a little bit too thin to really go in on. Let's take a peek at the Sixers. I'm actually curious about, I was going to say Melton and then also Tobias Harris. And so with Batum back tonight, like he is someone that actually could get some heavy minutes. And so we've been loading up on Tobias Harris and also D'Anthony Melton because Batum was out. That meant that Melton should be getting the kind of closing minutes that he hadn't been. Sounds weird to say, but it just worked. And so now we are seeing the points and assists for Melton maybe being something that we should bet the under on. I'm actually curious. Let's take a peek at on-off court production. So yeah, with Melton, we can clearly see the minutes have been heavy there. And so the direct correlation is that Batum and Kelly Oubre have been out. And so he wasn't closing out games like he has been over the past 3 games. And we can see been productive doing that. And so with just Kelly Oubre off the court, he only averages 14.9 points per 36, 4.8 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. So we can see all in all, these numbers that he had been getting as a whole are going to dip most likely, especially if he's only getting 30 minutes. So I would probably agree with this. At the same time, he has played well. Maybe he has earned himself the closing minutes rotation. It's risk reward there. Embiid for over 10.5 rebounds. I'm kind of fine with that. And it's funny with Melton, we are seeing the points, rebounds, and assists being one you could bet the over on. I don't know. It kind of does feel a little bit too thin. It's just all depends on the minutes that he gets. And maybe with Batum coming back from injury, maybe they don't give him kind of more minutes. Tobias Harris does seem to be a little bit too low still. His per 36 production, which is Kelly Oubre off the court, is 21 points, 7.4 rebounds, so already basically there. And then you tack on 3.2 assists. So that still does seem to be a little bit too low. And then Maxey, I think, this would be a good spot for him to get back to kind of what he had been doing earlier on the season. But this number is probably a little bit too thin for the matchup. So all in all, some okay bets there. A lot that we'd probably feel like we're forcing. Let's go ahead and get into Toronto versus the Pistons. Almost a 9-point spread here. We're getting different lines in different places. So interesting there. 20 or so, or 220 for the over and under. Looking at the injury report here, Dern out. That is huge. That's probably going to mean that we're still going to see a lot of Isaiah Stewart getting a lot of work. And then Bagley becomes a source of frustration depending on what he's going to do. Let's call it these. Like OG being out could be a big thing. And then Coloco's still out. If OG's out, that's going to open up a lot of minutes. Killian Hayes being a game time decision is certainly something to monitor as well. I'm actually curious to take a peek at the projected starting lineup. So they do have Hayes in there. So no kind of shocks in terms of the starting lineup that we've seen recently. OG is expected to play, so maybe a moot point there. We started with the prop bets that we are getting for Toronto, and we're going to see Pascal Siakam for over 11.5 rebounds and assists. The projection data likes it at 12.5. Underdog has it set at 12, so that is seemingly going to be a good edge that we are getting there, okay? And we can see, like, he has been someone that has been kind of consistently getting that over, at least lately. And the thing with him is that he has been just playing better lately as well, but all still been a little bit inconsistent. We can see Scotty Barnes has had his points bumped from probably 18.5 to 19. Just the Vegas likes that for heavily for the over. If you guys like both of these props where rebounds and points, you could also just do points and rebounds there. Also just points, rebounds, and assists. Like if this game is going to be kind of a blowout like Vegas is saying, Scotty Barnes is going to be part of the reason as to why. We need him to get a little bit more heavy minutes, though. But he has been someone that has been a source of consistency. I really don't mind that points and rebounds prop that we are getting with him. Again, because it's not a 54% likelihood, I think it's a better bet on one of the sports. So with that, let's go ahead and pivot into Detroit. With Detroit, we're going to see that Isaiah Stewart has been probably a little bit too inconsistent. We'll get into that. The top prop bet that we're going to see is actually going to be Cade Cunningham. And then I do want to touch on the Isaiah Stewart 3-ball prop as well. So Cade Cunningham for over 1.5 threes. Let's take a peek at that. He is someone that might get a bump with Hayes out, but I think we're just going to see it kind of shift to Alec Burks, a little bit of Jaden Ivey then. But looking at Cade Cunningham, 2 for 7 last game against Cleveland. He hasn't exactly just been shooting the 3-ball well, but it is nice to see that kind of on average is getting around like 5 to 6 3-ball attempts. So we just need him to make it, all in all, a decent prop, probably one we'd be forcing in a little bit. Then we look at Isaiah Stewart, not a terrible matchup. He is someone that typically is shooting about 5 3-ball attempts per game. I guess I get why it's favoring the under in a game that, could be a blowout, in a game where he's not getting, closer to 36 minutes, which has kind of been lately for them. I didn't see what happened in this game. And then against Cleveland, where they run out 2 bigs, that's probably not one you would have loved to attack. Rebounds for Stewart, if he does get, around 30 minutes, he should be able to get over 7.5 rebounds. He is projected to get 27 minutes. So if that gets closer to like 31, if the game stays close enough for long enough, he should be able to get that over. His per 36 production with Dern off the court would suggest that we should be betting the over there. From there, everything else probably a little bit too thin for now. So we pivot into the next game. We got the Magic versus the Pacers, 4.5 point spread or so. Pretty high scoring game, 234.5. Very appealing there. Taking a peek at the projected injury report, if Markelle Fultz and also Jalen Suggs are out, that's going to open up a lot of minutes for Cole Anthony as well as Anthony Black. And then we might actually see like Ben Charo step up into a higher usage rate role. In the spot we might actually be looking at, Andrew Nembhard is going to be out for the Indiana Pacers. Now, Nembhard is someone that his minutes are kind of all over the place, but he does average around 20 minutes or so. So with him off the court, that could shift, a little bit of usage. Probably not noteworthy, but someone like Bruce Brown would probably get a slight bump in his minutes to around 36 or 38, and that might be enough. He is someone per 36, averages about 12.2 points, 5.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists, about 27 fantasy points per 36. The issue is his usage rate is extremely low. Topin is someone that we can like bank on getting minutes a little bit more with him off the court, and that maybe that was a matchup thing, but he did get 37 minutes in that game. So it's tough to say. Like maybe they just shifted up a little bit. Halliburton had himself a very good game last game against Philly. I'm curious, did McConnell get more minutes than with Nembhard out? He did not. Did Mathurin? No, not really. Interesting. So we might be getting some interesting lines here. Let's take a peek. And so instantly, I hate the first prop that we have because Obi Toppin is someone that we could see potentially get more run in this game. So the sportsbooks are kind of heavily favoring the under. And just a reminder, the lines here, these are the no vig lines. So sportsbooks will have juice in those lines. And so that's what we're doing. And then it's going to be the percent likelihood of that to happen for the listed line right there. Okay. And so they're liking the under there. And again, he is someone that gets the 4th most minutes with Andrew Nembhard off the court. And he averages 17.7 points, 5.7 rebounds, and about 1 assist. So we're probably not banking on him to have a good game. But again, I feel like this is a better bet among the sportsbooks where we're going to get a good payout, especially just given how well he's played last game. He got the minutes in that game as well. Yes, he shot the basketball well. Yes, I hate like banking on guys to shoot the basketball well, but his per 36 production with Nembhard off the court would suggest that he could get there. So again, it's a terrible bet on the sports books, and it'd actually be a bet where we'd want to bet the under, or sorry, it's a terrible bet on PrizePicks or Underdog where we're getting 16.5 because the data is telling us, the under's favored. But to me, I'm saying that could be wrong, and I think that's a better bet on the sports book where the payout's going to be better. It's not worth the risk on Prize. And so I've been writing down, good sportsbook bet in every video, and they've been going about 50% to 4 out of 6 or so, which is profitable, especially when you're chasing the lines where you're doing the opposite. Looking at that, you got Benedict Mathurin for over turnovers. He does average 2.6 with Andrew Nembhard off the court. A little bit more usage that probably makes some sense. Bruce Brown, I don't want to touch. From there, nothing too crazy, but yeah, if you just want to roll with the 3 EV bets that we have here, you can. Maybe a little bit too thin. I would say the 2 steals for Tyrese Haliburton. Yeah, he's most likely not going to get 2 steals. I would say 54% of the time, that's probably correct. Then we take a peek at the Magic. I also want to take a peek at the injury report. The projected starting lineup does have Jalen Suggs in there. Now, Suggs has seen his production fall off simply because his minutes have fall off, simply because we have seen Fultz and Cole Anthony be back. So if Cole Anthony is going to be the starter, he's going to be the one that we want to bank on the most. And I'm hoping that we're going to get some props for him, but we're not because, well, they're being smart about it. So they're giving us Jalen Suggs props because if he's active, it's not going to change much. If he sits, it's going to change the slate. So I do just want to read out the production with Jalen Suggs off the court, especially for Cole Anthony. So he does get the most minutes by far, and then it's actually Mo Wagner, which is interesting. Then Franz Wagner, and then it's Joe Ingles, and then Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac has been playing well, guys. But looking at it, oh yeah, and Gary Harris is back as well. So, albeit there's a lot of players back, that's why Jalen Suggs is seeing his minutes drop. But if Suggs sits and Fultz is out, Cole Anthony is going to step up into a bigger role. He averages 20 real-life points per 36, 6.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.3 steals. His usage rate is 26%, which is about an 8% bump. He averaged 7.6 more fantasy points per 36. And so I'm kind of hoping that Jalen Suggs does sit because I don't think the lines are going to adjust enough for Cole Anthony if that happens. And we just got to hope he has a good game. He doesn't go super cold. Now, he still had the minutes there, still had a productive game, rebounds and assists wise. So again, we're not going to get those props just yet. But if Suggs sits, that's something like you probably want to jump on. From there, I'm actually surprised that Banchero doesn't get a little bit more run, but all in all, I guess his minutes are secured. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Goga, I'm probably not touching just as an FYI because someone like Jonathan Isaac has been playing pretty well in a limited role, and I'm actually curious if we maybe get some props for him on the slate. But Goga, his minutes have been taking a slight dip, I think, because of that. And so I'm probably favoring the under for Goga, even in this matchup against the Pacers. Now we're going to go on and get into the last game of the early slate, which is going to be the Denver Nuggets versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, a 3-point spread, 215.8 for the average over and under. Looking at it, Jamal Murray still out. And then we got a lot of Cavs players out. So Donovan Mitchell ruled out with a hamstring injury. Okoro is also out. So we're going to see heavy minutes for Darius Garland, Max Strus, and then also, Karis LeVert, a little bit hit or miss, but we got to figure out what to do with him as well on the slate. So let's go ahead and talk about it. I do want to start out with the Cleveland Cavaliers. All right, so one of the better EV bets when the news broke that Mitchell was going to be out was actually Jared Allen, I think, for under rebounds and assists last game, or it might have been Mobley. I don't remember. Anyways, it hit, and so it's funny that we're seeing the opposite right now. I want to talk about Darius Garland here, though. So with Mitchell and Okoro off the court, we do see Darius Garland has about the 4th most minutes. It actually goes LeVert, Niang, and then Strus, and then Garland. Garland's per 36 production, though, with those players off the court is 29.3 points. So already there for his over points and assists. He averages 4.2 assists and then 5.5 rebounds. So I'm actually very curious. Let's take a peek at his points, rebounds, and assist prop in general. So he's already at 29. Add on 5.5 rebounds. He's at 34 or so. Add on 4.2 assists, and he's crushing that. So again, a great sportsbook bet, I think, here. Are they thinking that the matchup with Denver is going to hinder his production? Potentially. They are a more difficult matchup, but all in all, I don't think they're really truly accounting for that. We look at the last game with Jamal Murray with Donovan Mitchell off the court, 28 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. So all in all, I think we're looking at him. I think this is going to be a good bet for us. Again, I think it's a good bet on the sportsbooks. I'm actually hating this lately, guys. That a lot of my favorite bets are bets in which we can't exactly make on PrizePicks. Now, if you just want to roll with this one, I don't think this is too thin. 52% likely to hit. Obviously, we'd like that to be closer to 54, over 54, but all in all, you could probably use that. Let's take a peek at the other props that we are getting here. I do think Max Strus is someone that should be in for a good game. You look at Max Strus per 36 production with those two players off the court, only 16.2 points, but 5.7 rebounds and about 2 assists. So not too much in the assist department. And all in all, this is probably too high. He's actually probably being a little bit overvalued in all honesty. And that's coming off the heels of a very good game. And that's probably the reason as to why 18 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. And that's probably why he has been playing better. But I actually think like Karis LeVert, who had himself a bad game last game, 4 for 14, he'd probably be the one I would want to look at in this game. Coming off of a poor night shooting, you expect him to have a good night shooting. He does get the most minutes. He only averages 13.1 points per 36, but he averages 16 shot attempts with Mitchell and Okoro off the court, which is obviously a lot. 6.7 threes as well. Averages 27 fantasy points per 36. Has a 24% usage rate. Guys, Darius Garland's is 38. I didn't mention that. So Darius Garland has a huge, massive usage rate. Definitely, I mean, that is crazy. 16% bump in his usage rate with those players off the court. That is crazy. Now, I do want to point out, Craig Porter had a decent game in limited minutes. Maybe gets a little bit more run. I doubt that, but worth calling out. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised at the line that we're getting for Strus. Again, like I probably am going the opposite way of this, and I'm a little bit upset that we're not getting any Karis LeVert props. Be on the lookout for that. He should have a better game this game. And then we look at Denver. So a lot of you guys know by now, the Denver players like Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon have been pretty undervalued with Jamal Murray off the court. Okay. Now Aaron Gordon has missed the last 2 games, barely, his overs for points, rebounds, and assists. But Michael Porter Jr. has split. All in all, they have still hit more than they have not. Now, again, with them, we are seeing the lines be pretty low, especially for Aaron Gordon, like 25.5. That is an extremely low line. And looking at it, I don't know if it's just the matchup with Cleveland, obviously running out Mobley and also Jared Allen. That could be. But if he's going to be playing 36 minutes, it's kind of a crazy low line for me. Like he got that over. He consistently gets this over. And so to me, that's a line where I think we should be jumping in on. I know the matchup's a little bit more difficult, but seemingly just too low. And maybe we have a little bit of a game stack. Maybe like Mobley should be in for a fine game. I'm not worried about him getting into foul trouble. Like Jared Allen would be the one that gets into foul trouble. I still think Michael Porter Jr.'s points, rebounds, and assists is too low. Again, like the matchup's not as great, but still I think we're fine with that. I would agree with the under for Jared Allen, especially going against Nikola Jokic. Probably not touching Jokic, but yeah, we have a decent stacking opportunity. Again, Strus probably a little bit too high. Reggie Jackson not touching. So I think we have a stacking opportunity. I don't know if I need to touch on the Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. Stuff again, but like with Jamal Murray off the court, they both average way over their projected points, rebounds, and assists prop. It's just a source of kind of consistency there. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, maybe we run out of game stack there. Again, a better bet I'm on the sportsbooks where, we're getting better odds, where the payout's going to be better because of that, given the odds that we have. So let's go ahead and move on into the next game. We're getting into the later games now. We got the Kings versus the Mavericks, about a 2-point spread. Very, very high scoring game. I'm very curious as to the props that we are getting. Now, it is going to be the back end of a back-to-back for Dallas. Kyrie Irving was questionable last night. Maybe he pops up on the injury report. Maybe it potentially sits. I doubt it. Kevin Huerter is currently a game time decision as well. If he sits, that's going to open up some minutes and some usage for a lot of players. Let's go ahead and take a peek at the props that we are getting. And so for the Kings, like De'Aaron Fox is someone that probably is going to be a very high points, rebounds, and assist prop. We're seeing some bonus at 12.5 rebounds. That's crazy. I want to take a peek first at De'Aaron Fox, though. Okay, and those are the only props that we are currently getting, probably because we do need that Kevin Huerter news. And what was annoying is that on the last slate, we saw Kevin Huerter and Harrison Barnes were vastly favored for their under fantasy scores. Those hit. Obviously, Huerter getting injured helped. But then Keegan Murray didn't get his over fantasy score. Like, that should have correlated heavily, and it just didn't work out. Keegan Murray so hit or miss with his shot right now. But yeah, looking at De'Aaron Fox at 39.5 for his points, rebounds, and assists, given this high over and under, that to me seems just way, way too low. I shouldn't say way, way too low, but like he could get there just on his points alone almost. No, he could. He's been playing well. He's getting the shot attempts up. Great matchup. Yeah, I'm betting that over. And he's someone like if the fantasy score props do come out or when they come out, I say if because I honestly didn't think they were going to come out. I'm like, all right, they see that we've had a massive edge on that thus far this season. They saw that the Jaime Jaquez and Lonnie Walker fantasy score props that they gave us were way too big of edges. And I think that's why they're coming out with them later now, guys, honestly. Like I really do. Like I don't know how much pull my channel gets with PrizePicks or anything like that, but I did have an interview with them for like a marketing position like a year ago now. now. And a lot of the ideas that I kind of suggested during that were like community bets or getting influencers like involved a little bit more. We have seen them implement that. So there's a possibility someone from PrizePicks has watched the no, I didn't pursue that at all after, because I love giving you guys content and I wouldn't be able to do that. But yeah, I do think that's why we haven't been getting the props. I really do. But Fox with Herter on or off the court should be able to get there. Let's take a peek at some bonus. He has someone that has been playing better with De'Aaron Fox on the court. I shouldn't say that. Like, the team has been playing better with De'Aaron Fox on the court. And if he's gonna be getting 12.5 rebounds, like, he should be able to really dominate then. Like, I do think we have a good stacking opportunity. Like, Fox and Sabonis, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, I'm fine betting both the overs very high. Like, that means over half of their production is going to come from those two, which I guess isn't too crazy given what we've seen. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine betting that. And then we can take a peek at the other side of the game. Dallas is very much a funnel as well. Kyrie and Luka. Now, Kyrie, we saw last game, his assist prop at 5.5. I don't want to say it was a free square, but I personally felt that was one of the better props that we were getting because they weren't accounting for him getting 36 minutes. And he got around 34 in that game. And so, like, he was able to get his over assist. If we get that number at 5.5 again, I think we bet that over. I'm not seeing any assist props for Kyrie just yet. Now, maybe points and assists, points, rebounds, and assists. Let's take a peek at that. I'd probably just do points and assists. Like, if we want to game stack this game, I think that'd be a decent way to go. Like, Kyrie in games that are close is kind of just putting up massive numbers, whether that be assist or points. And so if we are trying to game stack this game, I really don't mind that. Luka, points, rebounds, and assists at 47.5. Is that too high or is that too low? Let's take a peek. Honestly, that feels a little bit too low for Luka, I would say. Like, man, like, if the game stays close and if it is that high scoring, like, we can bet on everyone getting 36 minutes, and then we can bet on Sabonis getting his over. We can bet on Kyrie getting his over. We can bet on De'Aaron Fox. Like, we know it's going to be those four players that are going to have that production. So, all right, 2 games in a row, which we have decent stacking opportunities. If you guys want to roll with those, by all means, go for it. If not, or just EV based, that's fine. We have another game where we could potentially stack as well. Around a 239 for the over and under, a 5-point spread. We got the Suns versus the Jazz. Looking at the injury report, Walker Kessler still out. No surprise there. Looking at the Suns, Bradley Beal is going to be out. He's going to be out for a while. I do want to take a peek at Devin Booker's minutes from last game. So Booker saw 32 minutes, which was a little bit more than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be closer to 30 minutes. So seemingly, I don't know if he truly has a minutes limit at 32. I mean, yes, at 32, he probably does, but like, it's not a big difference. Like, you're still going to get into your natural flow of the game. You're still going to get your shot attempts up that you typically would. So don't love that. And so we'll take a peek at the props that we were getting for Phoenix. We're seeing KD for under rebounds. And really, guys, right now, I don't see much with Phoenix. I just kind of want to see them more with Booker, with KD, with Yusuf Nurk as well, and with Grayson Allen. Like, I just don't like the sample sizes that we've gotten. And to me, it's just like a guessing game with that. And so all in all, probably just staying away. We probably know, though, given the game, that, you know, KD, if the game is going to be that high scoring, KD is going to have a good game. Devin Booker would have a good game. Like, I don't know. I don't like that stack as much as I did the previous game. Take a peek at Utah. So yeah, looking at Utah, Okachai is kind of interesting at 8.5 points. And then, yeah, looking at the Grizzlies and Boston, let's just break it down real quick. To me, we're not getting that many props. We're getting Tatum prop and also Desmond Bane prop. I want to call it with Desmond Bane. I don't mind the idea of his over turnovers at 3. His per 36 production would suggest that he would get 3 turnovers. That's the best bet that we have is Desmond Bane at 53% likely to get over 2.5 turnovers. I don't mind that. The biggest piece of news that we are waiting on is whether or not Luke Kennard plays, because if he plays, I think we can project him to get 25 to 30 minutes. And if he gets that, and with his point total at like 8.3, if it's anywhere close to that, I like the over there. I really do. Like, you look at his per 36 production, and it's a bad sample size, but he averages 14 points per 36. Like, we're not projecting him to get 36 minutes, but, you know, still, if this points line comes out to be 8.5, bet the over if he plays. If he doesn't play, man, this is probably just a stay away for me in general. Derrick Rose is someone that, you know, it's a back end of a back-to-back. He played 15 minutes. Will he play? Tough to say for sure. They might need him. And then, yeah, for Boston, we're not getting any other props, just given the news with Jaylen Brown being questionable. All in all, we know that Drew gets a slight bump. Everyone gets a slight bump except for Tatum, and that's why we're getting Tatum props. To me, they're all probably a little bit too thin, given how that game is projected to play. Let's go ahead and move on into the next game. And so in the next game, we're going to have probably a little bit better of a game, I would imagine. The Thunder versus the Trailblazers. 6.6 is the average spread. 224 4.5 or so is the over and under. Looking at the Trailblazers, we know that Malcolm Brogdon's out. We know that Scoot Henderson is out. And we know that Simons is out, okay? That's good. We know kind of what to expect from the Trailblazers. And at this point with the Trailblazers, we kind of know what to expect now, given the situations. Like if the game stays close, Sharp, Grant, they're both going to get a lot of minutes. Hayes or Mays is also going to get a lot of minutes. And so we're seeing rebounds and assists for Sharp. Let's take a peek at that. Like he is someone that when game stays close, he's going to get close to 40 minutes. And so yeah, rebounds and assists at 9.5, I'm probably fine with, assuming that he gets the minutes. And that is probably one of the better prop bets that we're going to get. Again, does feel a little bit too game dependent for me to truly love, but I do think there's an edge there. Jeremy Grant, I'm actually just curious about his points, rebounds, and assist prop that we're getting. And man, these boards have been so conservative lately, especially with football on Saturday and Sunday. Don't love that. It makes sense, but also it's annoying. So Grant is also someone, his production's a little bit shot dependent. Like if he has a cold night shooting, not going to get there. Like 8 for 20, not the best, but we love the fact that he's getting that many shot attempts up. So 24 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, basically right there. If you have a couple more shots drop in that game, easily gets the over. And so again, like probably just a game stack. I'm surprised that we're not getting Skylar Mays props. Now his minutes haven't been as secure lately, but he's been kind of the fourth option. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton has been the best option there. He's getting heavy minutes as long as the game stays close. And that's the thing with Portland. Like you can very much game script bet with them. Not going to be a profitable approach in the long term, I don't think. But really, Ayton, Grant, Sharp over their whatever lines, points, rebounds, and assists, fantasy score. I'm kind of fine with that. Weird that we're not getting Aiden props. Then OKC, why? Super frustrating. SGA props only thus far. Frustrating. I wonder why. Like Chet Holmgren is going to get a good matchup. It is the back end of a back-to-back. And the Thunder did have an OT game, so maybe that's part of the reason as to why maybe they're expecting someone to sit. Jalen Williams had himself a good game. That's probably why, given the fact that the game went to OT. Yeah, I guess I get why we're not getting many. So we'll move on into the last game here. We got Houston versus the Lakers. 5-point spread, 220 for the over and under. Looking at it, nothing too crazy. Like if we get news that Tari Eason is going to be out, that could just shift a little bit more minutes to Michael Porter Jr. We have seen Michael Porter Jr.'s minutes be extremely limited with him back. This is going to be the same injury report, I think, for the Lakers all season. They're going to keep LeBron a game time decision just so that when he wants to sit, they're not going to get in trouble for it, which does make it annoying for us for when he actually is injured. All in all, I feel like the Lakers props that we were getting are too thin. I want to see if we're getting any Jabari Smith props. We are. Let's just touch on this. So Eason is someone that has been playing about 20 or so minutes lately. Now, he's been in and out of the lineup, but when he does play, it's about 20 minutes. And I do want to point out that Tate has also been, getting some run as well. That's crazy. 5 fouls, 9 minutes. That's some Kyle Lowry stuff right there. But he's going to be someone that gets some minutes as well. Actually, probably a decent DFS value if Eason sits as well. But that's what I want to do. I want to take a peek at the data to find out which player is going to benefit the most if he sits. So Jabari Smith finally played 33 minutes. I think that's partially due to Tate getting into foul trouble. But we do see some heavy minutes for just the starters. Van Vliet, Brooks, Green, Sengun, and then Jabari Smith, and then Tate. So no shock there with Eason off the court. Jabari Smith does average 15.3 points, 5.4 rebounds, 1.4 assists per 36 with him off the court. For what it's worth, Jacine Tate as well, if we get some props for him, that could be sneaky. Let's just mention it. 12.4 points per 36, 6.6 rebounds, 2.3 assists, about 32 fantasy points per 36. So I'm not saying he's going to get 36 minutes, but he might get 28. He might get a slight bump, and then maybe we'd be looking at him to have a slightly bigger role. But all in all, I would say the props that we're getting for Jabari Smith, if he does get a little bit of a minutes bump, then he's a decent option for us. Dylan Brooks, I don't want to touch. Sengun at 4.5 assists is somewhat interesting as well. Probably a little bit too thin, but not terrible. So yeah, 8.5 rebounds is decent as well right there. I'm probably okay with that. So all in all, I feel like we have a good thought process for the slate. Let's go and get into my favorite bets. Do want to just see the board real quick for prize picks, seeing if we're getting any more. No fantasy score props. Again, like they came out with these so late. I don't know when we're going to get them. And so real quickly, let's just flip it into Underdog. And then I'll be giving you guys kind of my favorite bets for the day. Again, more of a sportsbook day, but I'll show you guys some stacks that we have. And so Underdog wise, we're seeing a lot of the same props. We're getting a couple good EV bets. So, all in all, not terrible. Let's take a peek at football for you guys as well. This video should be out a little bit before lineup lock. And yeah, interesting there. Aaron O'Connell, we got a middling opportunity there. It seems like you could bet the over. Underdog, you could bet the under on prize picks. Sam Laporta over fantasy score, seemingly a good one. James Conner over fantasy score, seemingly a good one. Yeah, actually, we got some pretty good fantasy score props on Underdog, it seems like. So by all means, we got some good chances there. And so college basketball wise, like this is crazy. We got a lot of good EV bets right now. And this is something where I'm pausing the video actually and placing these ones and then flipping it over, getting to underdog, seemingly some pretty big edges there as well. So yeah, it's like a pretty good day to attack underdog wise as it sits right now. All right, guys. So I got a bunch of different bet slips. So I'm going to show you guys. I will give you guys the bet of the day at the end of this. These to me are going to be my 5 or 6 favorite bets on the sportsbook. So if you're someone that bets both, PrizePicks, Underdog, and then also does something like DraftKings or FanDuel, I think these are better bets. I like Fox for over. I think that game's gonna be a very high scoring game, probably a game stacking opportunity. I'll show you guys that in a second. I think Scotty Barnes more times than not is gonna get this over. I think Garland, given Donovan Mitchell being out and Okoro being out, that is simply too low. Keontae George has been playing a lot of minutes. I'm banking on those minutes. A little bit of a game stack there, and then these are Sharp is kind of the best bet that we have available on the board. And then Obi Toppin, I just think they did bump this down 0.5, but I think all in all, with Nembhard out, I think we're going to see him get more minutes. And then again, I think this is more of probably a better stack on one of the sports books, but all in all, not terrible. I think there's a lot of correlation here. I think these players are all being undervalued. Allen, I'm banking on him getting in foul trouble against Jokic. And I think that would correlate well as well. And then to me, kind of this Dallas stacking opportunity is pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. If that game's going to be as high scoring and as close as Vegas thinks, this should hit. And then right now, as it sits, these are going to be the best bets that we have available today. Right now. And this is always changing. If you guys want, the updated odds, head over to 9to5sports.com. The PrizePicks Underdog cheat sheet available for just $10 a month. Link to that is going to be in the description below. But looking at right now, yes, that college basketball prop probably going to be bumped. But if it's not, under 14.5 points, seemingly a pretty good edge. The average sportsbook line would have it set at 13 right now. Underdog has bumped it to 14 already. Brock Purdy over 1.5 passing touchdowns has been one of the better prop bets throughout the week. It better hit. That's going to be super frustrating when PrizePicks leaves a bet out there like that. And if it doesn't, it's going to be tilting. Aubrey, game script wise, I think that one makes sense. And then Mathurin over 1.5 turnovers. That's the best EV bet that we have available for basketball. Sharp is about a 53.49% likelihood to hit. So basically 53% chance that if you round down, right? All in all, we're banking on this game staying close enough for long enough. And then this was another NFL bet that stood out. There's a lot of stuff going on. The board's gonna be updating throughout the day. This is just how it is right now. That's gonna be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any great EV bets. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you guys want access to those tools, click the link in the description below. Available for just $10 a month. Let's have a good slate today. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, let's keep cashing.